Okay, let's start our next topic. So it is aggregation in BGP. So let's see it with practical only, and let's see how we can aggregate in BGP. Okay, let's start at maybe R11. So I'm at R11 right now, right? Interface brief. Let's create some loop back here. Let's 200 IP address 172.16 dot, let's say 1.1 255 dot 255 dot 0, say 2.1 3.1 4.1. So we have created four loopbacks here. Show IP interface brief. We have created four loopbacks at R11, right? Let's advertise these loopbacks into BGP router, BGP network, guess 255.255.0 2.0 3.0 and 4.0. Show IP BGP summary. Show IP BGP. So now it started advertising all of these four loopbacks, right? 172, 16.1, 16.2, 16.3, 16.4. So R11 will advertise to R5, R5 to R6 and 7, and eventually they will go to R8. For example, if I see at R8, show IP BGP, you can see we are receiving all the routes, right, via R6. So now what we can do is how we can do summary in BGP. Let's say I'm at uh, let's say I'm at R6. Okay, show IP BGP summary. Show IP BGP. So I'm receiving these routes, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4. What I will do is I will go to router BGP, right? My AS number. I will type aggregate address, right? And then I will type the summary address. So let's say for these four subnets, the summary address will be slash, I think 21, right? 248.0 run section BGP. Okay, so now let's say clear IP BGP star out. So we have sent or advertised for subnets or routes from R11. So R11 sent to R5, and then R6 is also, I mean, receiving those subnets from R5, right? At R6, sorry, R6 is receiving the routes from R5. Now we have done the aggregates of these routes at R6. So R6 is neighbor with R8, right? So let's check at R8 now. Show IP BGP. So now you can see that R8 is receiving the summary address from R6, right? But it is also receiving the individual routes, right? 16.1, 16.2, 3, 4. Apart from summary, it is also receiving all the routes. So now, if you want that you need that you your requirement is that you will advertise only the summary, not the individual routes, right? So then what you can do is, let's say I'm at R6, router BGP 100, sorry, 200. The command that we use for aggregate address, after that you can use this keyword summary only. After you use this command, it will send the summary only, not the individual routes. Okay, enter. Let's clear the updates now. Let's go back to R8 and check now. Now you can see all the routes are suppressed and we are receiving only the summary, right? If I open this show IP BGP, let's open this summary. So when we are opening this summary, you can see that this is a atomic aggregate, right? Atomic aggregate means that this is the aggregate route, right? And who did this aggregation? The aggregation is done by R6, right? Here you can see aggregated by 6.6.6. So this is the router ID of the device who did this aggregation, which is in AS200. So the AS number of R6 is 200, right? So this is the information you can see here. But now there is a problem. What's the problem? Like if I go to R8 and if I check show IP BGP, now you can see here that earlier when you were receiving it, uh, these routes, right? When you were receiving these individual routes, right? So you are getting all the AS path information, right? Because this route was originated in AS400, right? 400 passed it to R5, which is in AS100. Then it went to 200. So there was the AS path information, right? But now when we did the summary, you can see it is picking up the AS number only of the device which did the aggregation. Like R6 is in AS200, right? So it is picking up only this connected AS. So that's the problem, right? Because there can be chances uh, that there is some device which is in backend connected to one of those AS which are in the transit of these particular subnets, right? For example, if I go to R11, show IP BGP, now you can see that R8 also started advertising it to R11, right? Because the AS path information is missing, right? If you go to R8, at R8 when R6 did the summary, it put its own AS and all the information that was earlier present in the AS path list is stripped off by R6. That is why when R8 is sending the information to R11, so R11 doesn't know that this information was originated into my AS. That's why it is accepting this route. If you can see here, right? So R8 is sending it to R11. So R11 is now accepting this summary from R8. Why? Because the summary route doesn't contain any AS path information, right? It contains the AS information of R6 only from where this originated, then it passed to AS300. That's why at R11 it is not able to identify that this is its own information, right? So to mitigate this problem, what we can do is at R6, this is a long command. It's still we have a lot of things that we can play with this command. So let's see one by one. So after this, we can use AS set. what this command will do is that it will inform R6 that while you are doing the aggregate, do not strip off the AS path information. So all the information that you are receiving, just put it into the list. So now if you enter here and check now clear IP BGP star out. Now let's go to R8 and check show IP BGP. Show IP BGP. Yes, now you can see that now you are receiving all the information, right? Now the summary also contains the AS numbers of the transit AS. Like it was originated from 400, then it went to 100, then it went into 200. So all the information now it is showing, right? After the AS path information, AS set command, right? Star soft. Now you can see, let's go to our 11 and check. So now you can see it is no more accepting this update, right? Why? Because now when R8 is sending this information, R11 is finding its own information in the its own AS information into the update. That is why it is not accepting it. You can also check it. Let's see if I do a debug IP BGP updates, and let's say clear IP BGP star in. You can see. Uh, let's check where is our summary. Let's do a undebug all. So here you can see received update received. This is the summary that it is receiving, right, from R8. Denied due to AS path contains our own AS number, right? So now just because we have used the AS set information, R6 is not removing the AS information and it is putting it into the summary. That's why now R11 is not accepting those routes. So to avoid the loop in the network, this is how we can use this AS set command with the summary keyword. Okay. Show IPBGP. Okay, we already checked. Let's go back to R8. Now, let's go back to our slide. So this one we have already checked. Yeah, so this one we need to be sure or that the condition to do the aggregate is that at least there must be one network present in the BGP table. What does it mean is that if I'm at R6 show IP BGP, so I'm doing the aggregate, right? And what are the networks involved? 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. So at least one network must be present in the BGP table. Only then it will do the aggregation. Otherwise, it is not going to do the aggregation. For example, let's say I go to R11, show IP interface brief, and I shut these loop backs. Let's say from 201 to 3 interface range loopback. I'll say shutdown clear IP BGP star out, right? So now I'm at R6. So now it is left with only one prefix, right? 4.0, but still it is doing the summary. Let's say clear IP BGP star out, show IP BGP. Still you can see if I go to R8, R8 is receiving the summary from R6, right? But if I shut the last loopback also at R11, then R in the BGP table of R6, there will be no network related to that particular aggregate, right? So let's try this also. If I'm at R11, show IP interface brief. So let's shut this loopback also. Clear IP BGP out. R6 show IP BGP. Now you can see it is not receiving any network of that aggregate, and even the aggregation is also disappeared from the BGP table of R6, right? Because it cannot do the aggregation. This is the condition. So at least one network must be present in the BGP table for the aggregation to happen. Okay, you can see earlier there was only one subnet, so at that time it was advertising the aggregation, right? But now it is not doing the aggregation. Even you can cross verify at R8. So before it was there. Now if you check show IP BGP, it means that this proves our condition, right? Now you can see there is no aggregation, right? Okay, so let's make our loop back up. Shit. Uh, Clear IP BGP star out. Let's check it R it again. So we are receiving the summary, right? Okay. Now let's check what's next. So there are some different kind of maps that we can use with aggregation. Okay. So the first one is the attribute map. Okay. So let's go back to R6 show IP BGP. So when R6 is doing the aggregation, you can see what is the origin code. For example, the origin code is I, right? Or it is advertised by like via the IGP, right? Even at R8, if you check show IP BGP, the origin code for the aggregation is I, right? But using the attribute map, we can influence the attributes. How we can achieve that is, uh, let's say, show IP prefix list. Let's say, let's first check if you do have some prefix list. Let's say, uh, change origin. Okay, no, we don't have any prefix list. So let's say I created one prefix list, name change origin permit. And even I think we can directly do it. Let's try this route map. Let's say I created one route map named change origin, and I will say set origin incomplete. Okay. Now I will go back to my this long command. I will say what was the map? It was the attribute map, right? Which is used to influence the attributes. And I will say attribute map. What is the name of the map that we just created? Change origin. Enter. So before we clear the updates, now you can see that for the aggregate subnet, the origin code was I. Now let's clear IP BGP star out. Now you can see for the aggregate subnet, the origin code is now incomplete, right? So this is how you can also modify the attributes. Okay. You can also set more attributes in this if you want. Like for example, metric you can see here for the aggregate is 0, right? So you will go to your route map again, and you can also mention, let's say, set metric to 80. Clear the update, go back to R8. Okay, let's clear IPBGP star in show IPBGP. Let's wait. Yeah, so now you can see, so now metric is also changed, and the origin code is also changed. So this is how you can manipulate the attributes also for the aggregate route. But there is one limitation here. So if I go back and I also try to set, let's say, I will say route map this, set AS path prepend solution. You can see here it is showing us the message that the or change origin used as BGP attribute route map set AS path prepend not supported. So you cannot use the AS path prepend attribute to modify this. Okay. So let's see what's next. So next one is the advertised map. Advertised map, by using this you can also manipulate something in your AS path list. How exactly you can achieve is, let's say, first let's remove it. Show IPBGP. So when I'm doing the aggregation over here, right, or let's say Ameta R8. So this aggregate subnet is receiving the AS path information of R11, R5, and R6, right? So now what you can do is, at R6 you can define that which AS path you just want to include in this particular list before advertising it to your neighbor. For example, this is the AS path of R5, right? So let's say that R6 wants to include only R6 in the list, right? So then what will happen, or how we can achieve is, let's say I created one prefix list. Mm, let's say test. Okay. Permit. And now we can use, or let's say before creating this one, show IP interface brief. Show IP interface brief. To demonstrate this, what we can do is, the address 172.16.5.1 255.255.255.0, router BGP 100, network 50, mask, this one, clear IP BGP star out. Let's go back to R6, show IP BGP. So it is receiving the 5.0 also, and 5.0 is also a part of /21 summary, right? So if you go at R8, so you will not individually receive 5.1 because it is also a part of summary, right? Okay, so now if I go to R6, and if you see here, show IP BGP, show IP BGP, and where is the aggregate? Here is the aggregate address. So now it is receiving these five subnets, right? Four are advertised into AS400, and this 5.0 is advertised into 100. Now, one more difference you must be seeing here now. Earlier, let me go up. So this was the summary, right? When all the sub uh, networks which are a part of this summary were originated from the same AS, it was like this. But now you can say there is a this curly bracket, right? It means that the subnets which are present within this summary are originated from different AS. That's why it will put this bracket, and it will put all the AS which are in the transit, right? Like 400, right? So you put both AS into this bracket and advertise to the R8. So this is the difference. So whenever you see the uh, anything like this in the bracket, so you can understand that okay, this is the summary route, and also whatever the subnet present in this summary are not originated only from one AS, right? So they are originated from different AS. So now I will go to R6. So you can see at R6, these four subnet are originated into 400, and 5 is originated from AS 100. Now you can define, or you can decide, okay, let's see, R6 wants to include only this AS number in the summary. As this, so this is the subnet which was advertised by R5. So R6 wants to involve or want to put only this AS number in the list, right? So what we can do here is show access list. Let's say 5. We don't have, right? So I'll say IP access list standard 5. I'll say permit. I will select the subnet. Let's say I selected the subnet, right? 0.0.0.255. Enter. So now whatever the list is there against this subnet, R6 will only include those only include that in the AS list, AS path list, before advertising to the neighbor. So right now at R8, this is the output. So if everything goes fine, then in the AS path list we will see only 100, right? So let's try this. Now what I can do is I will create one route map. Let's create it with the same name, Advertise-Map. Advertise-Map. Okay. I will match IP address. What was the access list number? It was 5. That's it. Okay. Now I will again go back to my BGP process, router BGP 200. Again, I will type my long command. What was that? Let's copy that. Do show history. Okay. Run pipe include aggregate. So now what I will do is we will type full of our command. This long command. And now I will say advertised map, right? And what is the name of our advertisement? You can take any name, right? But I just keep it advertise map. Enter. Clear IP BGP star out. Let's check it at it. What's the difference now? Now see what happened now. To the summary, now we are seeing only the AS number of R5 because we are matching it against a prefix list. In the prefix list, we call one subnet 5.0, and if we check the AS path list for 5.0, it is saying only 100. That's why at R8 now you are seeing only 100, right? If you can also do the reverse, like if you select any subnet from 170 to 16 1.0 2.0 3.0 because they are originated from 400, so you will see 100 and 400 of this in the list, right? So it depends upon you. So this is how you can also manipulate the AS information, or you can use the AS information which you want, right? Okay, now remove all of this. Okay, now let's just do a normal summary and aggregate. Sorry, aggregate address. This show IP BGP. Sorry, show IP BGP. Now, if I do a clear IP BGP star out and go back to R8, now we are not using the summary only. We are just aggregating it, right? So now you can see we are receiving the routes individually, right? And also we should see the summary. Yet here it is. So now we are receiving the summary as well as the individual routes, right? But now what we can do is, if I'm at R6, for example, so what we can do is, I want to send, uh, let's say to R8, I want to advertise the summary, BGP. I want to send the summary, this one route, two route, three route, four route, but I don't want to send R5. Right now, if you see, R8 is receiving the summary and all these five subnets, right? Which are the part of the summary 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, 5.0. But now, what I want is, I don't want to send 5.0. So, what we can do is, we already have the access list, right? Which is matching this 5.0. This is access list 5. So, what I will do is, I will create one route map named suppress. Okay, I will match IP address. The access list number is 5. I will go to my BGP process. Sorry, router BGP 200 aggregate address, and I will say suppress map. What is the name of suppress map? It's suppress. Enter. Clear IP BGP star out. Let's check now. Now you can see we are receiving summary 1.0 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, but there is no 5.0 because we have suppressed 5.0 using the suppress map. So this is how we can achieve aggregation, and we can also do a lot of things with the aggregate. We can do summary only. We can do suppress map, advertise map, a lot of things you can do with the aggregate address in BGP.